All right, Tim, let's move on to another topic here. This is going to be a little bit freelance, and I know you guys are going to struggle to see this board. I'm putting it up just so we can kind of have it in the background. I want to explain what we've added to our draft board now, and there's a purpose here. I want to give everybody an idea of the players the Packers have on their radar already. Again, shout out to Easton Butler. Everybody go give him a follow over on X. He does a phenomenal job tracking these all the way up till after the draft. We'll find out 2-3 days after a Packers drafted a player, he'll be like, yep, just got confirmation. They did have him in for a top 30 visit. Sometimes those go under the radar. So I think Savion Williams might have been one that went under the radar, I believe, just recently. I could be wrong there. You guys double check that. But so what we do on our board here, guys, is you'll notice a cheese emoji. And what I've done up here at the top is I've searched the cheese emoji. So you'll see it pop up over here to the upper right. Met with the Packers. Okay. Now we don't specify where they met with them at. They may have met with them at the Hula Bowl. They may have met with them at the Senior Bowl or what have you. You can find all that information on Easton Butler's spreadsheet. Okay. So go check that out. However, when we go down the list here and we click on it, we have it sorted by overall grade, and we're going to go right down the list and show you guys who's been on the Packers radar. Tim, right off the bat, Brian Parker II, center out of Duke. And you're going, whoa, he's a tackle. It's now being widely reported by Packer sources and, like people who cover the Packers and other people across the draft community that Brian Parker is projecting to be a center or a guard. So he evidently has impressed enough at the East-West Shrine Bowl that he could potentially play center. Now, it doesn't mean he's our top center. We've got a 57.8 grade on Brian Parker II. However, I'd like to compare it to our top center that we got, Jake Slaughter. Jake Slaughter's a 44.4 after the most recent numbers went in. Okay, so Jake Slaughter in the 48 spot, and then you've got our boy with the cheese emoji, Mr. Brian Parker, the second in the 66 spot. So, Tim, that's the first guy that the Packers have tipped their hand early saying, hey, we're interested in this cat. And there's a little bit of a pipeline. You guys remember we drafted Jacob Monk from Duke. I'm sure they played together at Duke, unless Brian Parker might have been a recent transfer. I don't know. We can dig into that as we get a little closer to the draft time. But does this surprise you, Tim? It looks like they're probably going to have their eyes on some interior offensive line like we talked about. I think we're all over it again this year.
It doesn't. It almost makes me wonder, is this like Zach Tom 2.0? Like, hey, man, this guy can play center. He can play guard. He could probably play tackle anywhere on an O-line. We're going to place a little bit higher value on a player like that. We always talk about versatility on the O-line. So, maybe, just maybe. Jake Slaughter's still my dude, though, if we want a pure-blooded center. But Brian Parker II out of Duke, yeah, definitely cheese emoji, and I love it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, next on the list, number 3 is I got excited about this, and we've talked about him. Darrell Jackson, defensive tackle out of Florida State. Big old hog molly. Here's the guy. East-West Shrine Bowl is where he performed at. He really he turned heads down there. We didn't give him the bonus, but I know his name got mentioned several times. Again, Darrell Jackson out of Florida State has met with the Packers. I think that meeting happened at the East-West Shrine Bowl. Again, go check Easton Butler's information to get confirmation. Our grade on him, Tim, 86. However, Walter Football has him at 64. The consensus big board has him at 99, and the PFF big board has him at 88. So 86.
So we're all there. We're all around that area, right?
And the grade that we would put on him with the 86 would suggest that 101 is where he sits on the board here. Where could we potentially take him? Could he be sitting there when we pick in the 80s, right? Well, the grade would suggest that's within range. That's not a huge reach. Although he's sitting in the one-on-one spot, that would tell us there's going to be several prospects who are graded higher than him. Darrell Jackson seems to be on the radar for the Green Bay Packers. So, again, we talk about defensive tackles, whether it's a 3-tech or a nose that can flex out and play 3 when you're in your nickel, however it may fall. This may be a guy that we might hear his name called on draft night.
Yeah, and if he falls to round 4 at 120, then you definitely take him, right? Yeah. Not saying that he will, hopefully, but I think there's a better chance of, us having to go up and get him at 84. I don't know if he's going to be there in the 4th round.
Right. I could see that. Although the information suggests he may be there, These type of guys, when they start skyrocketing up the boards, and again, Walter Football having him at 64, I wouldn't be surprised if he went somewhere between 60 and 70, So
for sure.
We'll keep our eye on him. Now I want to give an honorable mention here. We did not meet with this player, but this is the guy I was telling you about, Emilio's Buffalo linebacker, the Sean Dolak clone here, if you will. With a 97.5 grade, we've got Red Murdoch, linebacker out of Buffalo. Again, the Packers didn't meet with him. I noticed him on the list here. And Emilio has been talking about these Buffalo players, and I always roll my eyes. Sean Dolak looked good last year, limited snaps, but he looks like he belongs, and it looks like they're going to have Red Murdoch out there as well. I tweeted out a scouting report on him, Tim, because he really popped on the board like, hey, you guys might want to check this guy out. Solid-looking prospect, battling an ankle injury. We'll see if it checks out at the Combine and the Pro Day. But when I tweeted it out, the amount of people that retweeted it or mentioned something in the chat about or in the comments about him, you could tell he's beloved up there, not just there, but the high school that he went to. It was a really cool experience to see them come out of the woodwork to support Red Murdoch. But again, Packers haven't met with him, but I just want to give Emilio his shine. We got another.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's just Emilio finding those gems, I mean, absolutely. We all know how he feels about Travis Glover, right? I can't wait for 2026 season, but like you said, it was Dolak last year, and this year we got another gem. Leave it to Excelio for finding them. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. And I see the super chat there, Pack Attack. If you guys got any super chats, I promise I'll hit them at the end. I won't forget them here, okay? All right, moving along here. Number 4, we've got Caleb Proctor, defensive tackle. You ready for this, Tim? When I put him on the board at a 122.5, he's the 143rd best prospect, okay? When I put him on the board, and it said southeastern Louisiana, I literally asked myself, I stepped back, went, what the hell are you doing, Clayton? Should we even put him on the board? Like, that's a small school. What are we doing here? Lo and behold, the Packers met with him. So we're on something here, right? Again, 122.3 or 122.5 would suggest he's worthy of the 122nd pick, although he's sitting at 143 on the big board. This is a guy to maybe look for in the later rounds. Another defensive tackle. No surprise. Packers are really interested in it's early, but they're meeting with several defensive tackles here early.
Yeah, it makes me believe, there's, conflicting, approaches here. Do you go D tackle early right away? I mean, as early as we can go is second round. I wouldn't put it past us to, maybe double dip in those first, handful of picks that we have, whether it's second, third, or fourth round. D tackle is going to be a priority. So, another gem right here. And again, shout out to Easton Butler getting this information out there as quick as possible. That guy's completely plugged in to what's going on. And we're, pretty early in the process, right? We haven't even hit the Combine yet. And, draft is coming up in a couple of months. But these are guys to keep on your radar, especially when you talk about position of need and then where we're drafting and where these guys are falling. So, yeah, Caleb Proctor for sure. Southeastern Louisiana, let's go.
I'm telling you, might as well be Valdosta State, right? Coach Lynn in the chat says defensive tackle on the 3rd would be awesome. Get the DB early if we can. Agreed. It's looking like cornerback or interior or any offensive line. Cornerback, offensive line at pick 52, and then wait on the D tackle a little bit later, 3rd or 4th round, right? And honestly, to me, it feels like, Tim, you could go and for the best value, cornerback in the 2nd, interior offensive line in the 3rd, interior offensive line or offensive tackle in the 4th, and then maybe tap into one of these defensive tackles a little later. I could see that being the case. So completely agree, Coach. All right. Next on the list here, number 5, we got 15 or 15, by the way. Number 5 on the list is Demond Claiborne, running back out of Wake Forest. He was at the East-West Shrine Bowl. The Packers met with him. 132.5 grade on him, and he is currently sitting the 138 spot on the consensus big board, so that's about where he's valued, although we have him in the 156 spot. Okay, so maybe the Packers are looking to late-round pick, try to nab a running back this year to kind of give them a little insurance moving forward. Obviously, we don't know about Marshawn Lloyd's health, and can he finally stay healthy and put it all together? I hope so. I think he's got all the talent in the world, but maybe this is the Packers going maybe a little late round insurance for a running back.
I would agree, as long as he knows, our mantra here in Green Bay, right?
No block, no rock.
Got that right. You got there, and there was a couple players at the Senior Bowl, man. They were really impressive with their run blocking or their pass blocking, their pass pro at the halfback position. So hopefully it's something that continues to get better, in the college ranks and bringing players.
Definitely not the tight ends. Tight ends didn't look so hot.
Right.
But the halfbacks and the backs definitely showed some skill.
So now we're getting to the lower side of the list here, okay? We're getting really deep in the draft board. We've got our first tight end that the Packers met with, Dan Villari, okay, or Valeri, tight end out of Syracuse. He was at the Senior Bowl, 192.8 grade, and they've got him in the 243 spot on the consensus big board. However, we've got him at 235. So we think a little higher of him than the consensus big board does, again, with a 192.8 grade. So probably going to be one of those things you're looking to meet with some of these late round guys, Tim. If they go undrafted, there'd be a priority undrafted free agent signing type thing there.
Yeah, I would agree for sure.
All right, moving along. Number 7, Landon Robinson out of Navy, defensive tackle, another defensive tackle. We've got a 198.0 grade on him. Consensus big board has him at 252, so that would suggest possibly an undrafted free agent in the 243 spot on our board. So again, the reason we do this, guys, the reason we do these exercises and go through the information, what commonalities, what consistencies are we seeing? We're seeing a lot of defensive tackles. So 5th-year option on Devontae Wyatt, right? $12 million fully guaranteed. Do you sign him to another deal? If he's looking to get a big payday, he's 28 years old. Maybe this is them going, hey, let's take a swing or two in the draft for a defensive tackle, sign a high-priority undrafted free agent as well, and see if we can bolster up that room a little bit and be prepared if Devontae Wyatt has a breakout year and you don't want to give him a 4-year deal at 29 years old, right? So that's kind of what I'm piecing together, if that makes sense.
Let's fuel to the theory, too, of maybe you don't go D-tackle right away, right? You can do that third round, 4th round pick.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a question here from Zach Will, and again, I know the super chat's up there, guy. If it's a part of the conversation, we'll include it. So I'm going to hit it at the end, I promise. Zach Will says, "Can someone explain to me the blue and the red columns?" So we have positions of importance, is what we refer to them as. Okay, the green are tier 1 positions of importance, elite positions, essentially, like the most important positions on the team. So those on defense are defensive tackle, specifically 3-tech, but we include the bigger body ones in college as well because they may end up being the next guy that can play the nose and the base and then kick over to the 3 in the 4-2-5. So we just include all defensive tackles. So defensive tackles and edge defenders, top priority on defense. On offense, it's quarterback and offensive tackles. The blue are the tier 2 positions of importance. On defense, stack backers, specifically mock backers is what you're looking for in that position. And then post safety, someone who can play safety. Now, we know all safeties are very interchangeable in the 2026 version of the National Football League. They got to be able to both rotate down and play post in 90% of the schemes across the league. So that's tier 2. On offense, there's only one position on tier 2 on offense, and that's center, in my opinion. Okay, so they're prioritized. So what the board does is it tells you these are players in the green. That's a very, very, very important position. Okay. The blue, that's second important. And then everything else kind of falls into place after that in the white. So hopefully that answers your question. We do that just to kind of make the board come alive a little bit on the vertical board so you can kind of see where these guys are sitting and what position they play in. So appreciate you, Zach. Thank you for the question, buddy. All right. So again, Landon Robinson, defensive tackle out of Navy. I just love any kind of military academy player. If they've got talent, they're disciplined, they're team players, they're everything you're looking for, right? You remember, I think Mike Wall played for Navy, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong there. I think it was Navy he played for. Mike Wall was a dog, just talking about driven offensive line that, wasn't going to take no for an answer, overachiever his entire career. So I don't know. I just like those academy guys. I think it's awesome that the Packers met with him at Navy. So again, he comes in at the 243 spot. Next on the meat list here, Tim, is Alan Herron, offensive tackle out of Maryland. All right. He was at the Senior Bowl, 228.7 grade for us, 229 on the consensus board, 376 on the PFF big board. We've got him in a 288 spot, another undrafted free agent potentially.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's looking like, right? But we need meat on the trenches, right? You never know.
Gotta have the beef.
Where's the beef?
God, I miss those old commercials. It's a Wendy's commercial, right? If I remember right. All right, next on the list, RJ Maryland, another tight end. another late round tight end. Southern Methodist, all right. His grade, a 264.8. However, the consensus big board has him at 398. Probably going to go undrafted. Packers getting a little look at him, meeting with him, seeing if he's made of the right stuff. Next on the list, we've got our first wide receiver, Emmanuel Henderson, wide receiver out of Kansas. He was at the East-West Shrine Bowl, 277.0. Consensus big board has him at 279. So we have him actually in the 359 spot on our board. So worthy of the 277th spot, but actually falls in the 359 spot for us. Next on the list, we'll go rapid fire. Vinny Anthony II, wide receiver out of your Wisconsin Badgers. We got a 347.7 grade on him, and it looks like we are higher on him than the PFF big board was that had him at 375. However, he is sitting in the 401 spot for us. So there's our first Badger that the Packers have met with so far. Next, you've got Tristan Lay, offensive tackle out of Clemson, 399.3. People are going, why would you have 400 prospects on your board? Because we're nerds. That's why. Okay. And you never know when someone who's 500 on the consensus big board, when we walk them through our formula, you never know when they pop and go, damn, they're saying this dude isn't worthy of, there were 400 picks and we got him in the 190 spot. Might want to keep an eye on that guy, especially when it's somebody like Tristan Lay, who the Packers have shown interest in him. So
6'6", 310. He's a big dog too.
Ooh, you can't coach size, baby.
That's right.
Next on the list, we got another defensive tackle here, and that is Sheffield, or I'm sorry, not defensive tackle, wide receiver. So you get two back-to-back wide receivers here. DT Sheffield, wide receiver from Rutgers, 417 grade. Consensus big board 411. PFF big board 684 is where he's at. So
5'10", 175, another compact prototype type of receiver for sure.
Got it. Next, you've got, I hope I'm saying this name right, Ruben Yunje, maybe, or Yanij, offensive tackle out of UCLA, 449. Not a whole lot of information on him, but the Packers did show some interest and meet with him. Next, you've got Malik Silla, linebacker out of Mississippi State, and he is sitting with a 622 grade. It's wild that we've gotten this far down. And then our very last one, we've got our first quarterback, Tim, in the 451 spot. Quarterback, DeQuan Finn from Miami. All right, so he played for the University of Miami, Florida Hurricanes there, right? 855 is his grade, Tim. So for those who are wondering how many players on our board actually have grades, a finalized grade, we have 451 prospects on our board that's got a grade. And we're not done yet, because look at this, guys. It's going to blow your mind. You ready for this? Look at all these other prospects that might pop up and have a grade by the time we get to the draft. Pretty wild. So, again,
and like you said, a bunch of people to add to the list for UDFAs, right? Because we see it every year. You know, any of these guys could get picked up.
Yeah. Let's see here. We may actually have more. Let me sort it one more time here just to make sure. Now, yeah, we do. Okay. So it just goes back to positionally after that. So, yeah, we got 452. So, going to be awesome, man. I love the draft process. And again, if you want access to that draft board and know what we're talking about there, the way you can get your hands on that is just, it's the best way to support what we do here at PTA is join our Patreon group, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. $3, access to everything there, all the articles, all the extra information, all the chats. The community is what makes it worth it, to be honest with you, everybody that's a part of it over there. And of course, you get access to the draft board. I try to let you guys know first and foremost, hey, planning on going live at this time, so you can kind of be ready for us to hit the go live button and all that. But if you guys are watching this video back later, let us know which one of those 16 or 17 prospects the Packers have already met with, according to Easton Butler. Let us know how you feel about those. Do you have a favorite? Are you seeing any kind of commonality there in specific positions? We want to hear from you in the comments. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, click the bell icon so you're notified every time we go live.